cycle. And we've seen one or two new faces who will be major players when we get round to the Sydney 2000 Olympics. Sport call here, high above Rijeka port on the Croatian Adriatic. And the first man coming on the stage now is in fact the Pole. This is Pavel Mouse, 24 years of age. The most significant medal he's achieved to date was a junior European bronze, and he finished 9th in Europe last year, but he was in the 108 kilo category. That's under 108, and now he's over it this year. So the snatch there, flowing movement, and that looked pretty straightforward, Jeff.
Yes, a nice easy lift, straightforward opener. That's what you want to get yourself established in the competition. Nicely over the bar, extends his hips, settles at the bottom, well balanced, drives up and waits for the referee's signal. Down it comes.
Got that junior European gold in 1993, and we'll see more of him in a moment. So now this will be Juan Menor, hails from Valencia, 24 years of age, and the Spanish, they have a new young president, Rafael Santonio Gomez, based out in Madrid, and he's not just a president, he's a entrepreneur, and if anyone's going to turn around Spanish weightlifting, this man is, and it won't happen overnight. They're not going to suddenly become like the Turks and Greeks, but a couple of years from now we could be seeing Spanish men and indeed women on world championships and indeed Olympic podiums, because the women included in the two Olympics for the first time. So now 162.5 kilos on the bar. Well, he's rotated, but that's not a problem, and he opens up getting 2.5 kilos more than he did a year ago in Stavanger in Norway.
That's an indication of the progress they're making now in Spain. A little bit scrappy here with the technique. Starts to rotate, has to control it with a few paces forward and a few paces to the side, but controls it, and down it comes.
Well, here comes the heavy man. This is his teammate. These two men have been nip and tuck. There's never been too many kilos between them. That is Bruno Soto, weighing at 149 kilos. That's serious weight, isn't it?
Very nearly 24 stone.
23 years of age from Sao, and 162.5 in the European Union Championships, which he competed in just a month ago. He finished in second place. He lifted 160 there, but he's lifted 162.5. By my reckoning, this is equaling his personal best. Well, the championships is where you set yourself targets, and personal bests are all important on the step ladder to the podium.
This lift was a little bit rushed here. You see a good extension, straight out to arm's length, but it's a little bit in front of him and he has to step forward. It might have been better settling at the bottom there and collecting himself and then recovering in his own time.
Generally his average body weight's around about 145 kilos. He's actually come in 4 kilos or so heavier than that.
That'll help him later on when we come to the clean and jerk, I think.
5 times a national title winner. Now here in the back room, this is where the warm-up is carried out and the tactics are planned. Tibor Stark, Hungary, 25 years of age, 8th in the Olympic Games. We've got to wait a while till we see him now. Shmylyov of the Ukraine. Ukraine going well. Rybelchenko with a good medal last night at 99 kilos. And this is his first lift. He's got just over half a minute to pick up this bar, which has 165 kilos. And I think this is another man, Jeff, we're going to see who's going to be much stronger in clean and jerk than he is at the snatch.
Yes, his main objective will be to keep in touch in the snatch so that he's got a chance with his good clean and jerk. That looked pretty safe and secure there, no troubles. 3 white lights from the referees.
Again, just looking back to last year's Europeans, in which he finished 9th, 162. His final lift there, which left him a lowly 12th, so he's clearly determined to go a lot higher here if he can. And they're really firing them on the stage now. Nazde of Poland in again, lifting for 9 years, so began at the age of 15. Now 165, this to equal his personal best, and if he does it, he'll then have one more lift to try and go a little bit further.
Yes.
I was just about to say, some fair lifting. We haven't had so many competitions which have started in such a positive vein.
Yes, everything's very positive, and that was a very positive lift. Fast, very athletic. Although a big man, he's also very, very fast. You see him nicely positioned here, shoulders over the bar, back nice and flat and straight. Extends well, moves down very low position, drives up out of it, and only a very small step in order to keep his balance and get his feet in line.
And back in the massage cubicles. Just getting ready on stage now while we're watching this is Menor for his second lift. Keen movie man. It's chief way he likes to relax, watching the cassettes, catching up with the movies. Coached by Emilio Lozano. His personal best. Just to mention at this point, this will be the last European Championship which will be contested at this weight of plus 108 kilos. As of the 1st of January 1998, the 10 categories presently contested for men will be reduced to 8 in preparation for the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games and to make way to bring the women into the competition. And this category will become plus 105 kilos. Not that it'll make too much difference. So now Soto. So it's Valencia with 167.5 kilos already achieved, and Bilbao now trying to equal that weight. But even if he does, his lighter teammate will technically stay ahead. Right, the first slip-up, Jeff.
Yes, indeed. He didn't look very confident there at all. And the replay here doesn't extend quite enough. Bars in front of him, and down it comes.
Well, this is the warm-up room, building up the weights ready to come on for their entry weight.
That's our favourite for this competition, Shmelyov. He's got a very good clean and jerk, as we've already discussed, and the Ukrainians are on a bit of a buzz at the moment. They've won a few medals recently. Their lifters are gaining in confidence.
Yes, it was all Turkey in the first couple of days, but well, the Spanish coach doesn't seem worried. And that's Menor, by the way, not Soto. Interesting about those two. There's Stark. Again, just looking at perhaps a little tense. He hasn't got anything on the board yet, so you always like to get the first lift in.
He'll feel a lot easier and a lot more relaxed when he's got one in.
interesting about the two Spaniards, I mentioned right earlier on that they are nip and tuck. In recent times, the last Europeans and the last World, Soto, in terms of position, has always got the better of Menor. Just at this moment, it's Menor got the better of Soto. Now, this is the last lift for Soto, who is by far heavier than Juan. So even if he gets this, Menor has the possibility to come and outpoint his teammate in the first half of the competition. Good to see the Spanish in the main finals. Well, this time he gets it right, but he's wasted an opportunity.
Yes, that lift, as you'll see, was a lot faster, a lot more positive, moved through all the positions very, very smoothly. Extended nicely, right at the top, settled in very deep, drove out of it. Short step forward just to keep balance.
So before we see Menor take his third lift, I think we're going to see Shmylyov back on stage for Ukraine. He's already got 165. Well, there's the board, and it's early days for the tactics, but that's what the coaches keep their beady eye on, because that's where it's entered up. Eyes in front of you, eyes out of the... If you had eyes in your ears and eyes at the back of your head, that's what you really need in this game.
Oh, the coaches are keen to get as many people backstage as possible. They have to support the athlete, get him in the right frame of mind, get him physically warmed up. Yes, there's Anders Bergstrom from Sweden. A little bit calmer than he usually is, thinking about what's to come.
So now Shmylyov, 170 kilos on the bar. Much lighter than Spanish, so this would give him the early lead in the snatch competition, but plenty to start. Well, that's another wasted opportunity.
Yes, he's disgusted with himself. You can see him looking at his hand, and he's probably torn a callus or something like that as he comes off. He's got to put that out of his mind. Shoulders are nicely over the bar, doesn't extend, doesn't finish the lift, doesn't come high enough, and of course he can't get it over his head. So down it comes with nothing to support it. Yes, there you can see the Norwegian lifter, Grimseth, who won the snatch at last year's championships in Stavanger in Norway. He's obviously keen to see if he can repeat it away from Norway.
Yes, that was a great moment. They'd hoped for a medal, the Norwegian organisers, but it went better than that when suddenly, out of the blue, this Stein produced a gold medal. Has a chance to do well here, I think. But now, Pavel Mouse, Poland, 160, then 165. So to make it 3 out of 3, 170 now. And he's the light man at 120 kilos. Light he may be, but he's just completed his plan for the stack 2 to 1. So it'll be interesting to look at this. It's the central referees who had some questions.
As you can see over here, he's moving very, very fast. The weight comes down onto his elbow, and you can just watch his elbow there. It just comes unlocked on that right arm. But he's moving very, very fast, and satisfied two of the referees that it went straight out to arm's length a problem.
So he goes 160, 165, 170. He weighs 120 kilos. So at the moment, he now has the advantage. But it's still early days. Now, Menor, 170. He's won the private little battle, or by virtue of the lighter body weight over his Spanish colleague. But 170 for Juan Menor from Valencia will be a new personal best for him. And lifted 160 last year, so this will be a 10-kilo improvement. See those hands locked on right at the extremity of the bar. Can't go any wider than that.
He's a very tall man with very long arms, obviously.
Well, consolation applause there. What do you feel, Jeff? Could he have done this?
I think he came in here with a very negative attitude. I think he was surprised to find himself ahead of Soto. Came negative there, didn't put it anywhere near as high as he possibly can.
So, back to Shmylyov, 170. Now, this is important because although we feel that his clean and jerk is his strong department, he doesn't want to be too far behind. So he really does need this because some of these men are going to come in at significantly higher weights. And really, he thought he's got it, but I wonder whether he realises that he hasn't.
I don't think he does just yet. Unfortunately, he's going off there thinking he's got it. You'll notice that when the bar goes out, both of those arms unlock. The elbows are very soft, and the referees have spotted that and ruled him out for it.
And despite the facial nods and everything else, he's going to be pretty upset in a moment. So, very serenely, Bergstrom makes his way onto the stage.
This isn't the Anders Bergstrom we all know and love. Usually there's a few more gestures than this, waving to the crowd and somersaults.
Married, wife Victoria. He's got a one-year-old daughter called Marta. I suspect there'll be, I should say, two-year-old daughter. Actually, it's Elvira. It's his girlfriend. Getting wives mixed up here. That's a bit. That's a bit more like the Bergstrom we know.
Yes, an excellent lift here. Extends well. Nice deep squat. Settle. Finish it off and stand still.
Prepared to have a conversation with the audience while he's lifting. The big Turks who've notched up 4 gold medals at these championships. This is their man, Erdink Arslan, 28 years of age, formerly from Bulgaria, lives in Izmir these days, and got a European silver medal back in 1992. And was 11th in the Olympic Games when he scored 170. So 175 now to get him on his way. It's one of the reasons why he was down in 11th place. Quite frankly, in Atlanta, he didn't live up to his ability. If you catch a shot in the moment of the Turkish coaching team, it's more like a platoon than a team. And as ever, the Turkish choir are just behind us.
This man's always very slow, surprisingly slow for a weightlifter. But he grinds it up and it's a very strong lift. Always very secure, no problem.
Again, many of these big men really real characters, and Erdink, no exception. Now, this is Ryman, and his wife is Victoria, and he does have a daughter called Marta, who's just a year old. So, running towards the centre judge, but stopping himself in time, and by 2-1, he gets the nod. It's the Swedish judge Swedish referee who didn't give him the nod. Now, a bit difficult there. Can't really see the left elbow, other than the fact that both arms were just moving a bit.
Yes, that was a soft lock there, and 2 referees were satisfied and 1 wasn't.
So just relaxing. Bergstrom now is getting into the swing of it. And the crowd, they're going to take to this man. He's going to get all the... Very, very clever. 175 for Anders Bergstrom. 29 years of age. 12th in the Olympics. Snatched 175. That's what he's trying to do now.
Yes, he didn't go in there with the same aggressive attitude that he did for the first attempt, and you see here, although he comes up, he doesn't really extend, he never gets it to arm's length, never gets underneath it. A little slap for the weight, but he's got to take responsibility for that failure.
Yes, maybe he should have had the previous approach nice and quiet on stage, staying within his own mind and not worrying about everything, whereas this time when he came on, he was playing to the gallery a bit.
That's right.
So we're at 175 kilos now. Interesting point because still Stein Grimseth, the defending snatch champion of Europe, to come in. Tibor Stark, he's got a start as well. Those are the two men waiting in the wings. Now, that's the mark going up for Erdink Aslan. What's he going to go to? He was 175. He's going to take a 5 kilo increase.
That's more or less what you'd expect. Until recently, the rules always specified a 5 kilo increase between first and second. Now the lifters need only take 2.5 kilos.
See Hungary up there, 182.5 for Stark. So if it all goes the way it's supposed to go, he'll be the last to start. Not even halfway. Great atmosphere. Well, that's a pity. I'm sure he can do 175 as it is. He's going to have to settle for 172.5, 2.5 more than he did in the European, but it's 2.5 less than he did in Atlanta.
Yes, it's all down to mental attitude here, I think. He just doesn't finish the pull off at all. If you don't finish the pull, you can't expect to get the bar overhead.
Yeah, he was a long way away there. So he can sit down and contemplate the clean and jerk. And we travel from Sweden to Norway now to Stein Grimseth, the 24-year-old Norwegian who finished 10th in the Olympic Games, and he's about to start at 180. This is Stark, who should start at 182.5. Now here's Stein. Interesting young man. Comes from Bergen, but these days home is Oslo, where he's studying electricity, high voltage, power. And since power is his business, very appropriate sport as well as his occupation. Normal body weight around 142 kilos. He's coming at 143.70, so he's on the mark. That's a nice opening there. He's learning very fast, I feel, this young man.
Yes, that was a very efficient lift, and he's gained in confidence since last year's championships when he was a little bit worried. You notice him staying nicely in front of the bar with the shoulders. He extends those hips and then recovers very, very quickly for a nice, efficient lift.
Turkey. Very keen trainer, this man, Erding Arslan. But the other interesting thing about him is he does like the good life, likes a good meal. Does this man? There's Rafael, chief coach. just hidden there was the new Turkish president behind him. I think there must be, there's a dozen of them there. It's incredible. The whole Turkish team's turned out.
Well, they've left their competitions behind, so they've got no further and nothing to think about.
But this man does. That's a failure at 180.
As he comes up, his hips never extend, he never gets underneath the bar. He seems more concerned about a callus on his hand than about anything else.
So Bergmanis, Raimond Bergmanis of Latvia from Plavinas, 30 years of age. Sixth in the Europeans back in 1994. He totaled 390 there. Last year he was a bit lower than that. He had 7.5, so that's good. That is good. 7.5 kilo increase up from 172.5 on the first, 175 I should say, to 180.
A good, efficient lift here. You can see how pleased he is with it. He drives up very, very strongly. He's the oldest man in the competition and somebody who benefited from the breakup of the old Soviet Union.
So Erdinç Arslan now for Turkey. There is the president there, just on the right of the two. Kenan Nuhut taking over the responsibility for the new Olympic cycle running up to Sydney. Now, 180. He's actually lighter than Bergmanis of Latvia, but he's not as good as Bergmanis of Latvia, who continues to lead at this moment. Bergmanis 133.7. He's lifted 180. So is Stein Grimstad of Norway, but he's at 143 kilos. So really chucked this, or tries to, in a flowing movement, but really made a mess of it. Now Tibor Stark for Hungary onto the stage, 25 years of age. Of those competing today, this man had the best performance in Atlanta, a total of 415 kilos, and he'd gone on his way with 187.5 kilos. And if he does something like that today, well, it could stand him in good stead for the overall title. What do you make of that, Jeff?
Textbook lift there, David. I'm sure we'll see on the replay in just a short second. Shoulders nicely in front of the bar. Extends to the full height before going down into a nice deep squat and then recovering.
So the next man coming on the stage now will be Bergmanis of Latvia. ...180 kilos, and now looking for 182.5. This is... he's really assessed the situation because he is the light man of the moment. 180 kilos is where he's going to finish.
This is one of those situations, David, where I think he was very pleased with his second attempt, and therefore when he came out for the third one, he halfway was expecting to fail. He doesn't really extend, doesn't get underneath the bar, and doesn't seem too upset when he fails.
So, Tibor Stark has got 2 lifts to go. Stein Grimstad, he's also got 2, but there is a big difference. Grimstad has succeeded at 180. Stark has already got his first one on the bar at 182.5. Of the 2 men, Stark is the lighter at 133.7 kilos. Stein 143.7. And so now Grimseth coming in to take 185. Basically, if he wants to retain his snatch gold, he's got to stay 2.5 kilos ahead of the... Now this is right on his personal best, 185. Norwegian fans will be happy with that.
Yes, an excellent example, as you said, of Norwegian power there.
But he might have to go a little bit further if he wants to keep that title. Because there was nothing wrong with Stark's first lift. So, Stark, I can tell you, has put 187 on the bar. That's what he's asked for. And that's a very, very smart move, because it means he's forcing Grimseth to kilo increase up to 190 to get ahead, and then all he's got to do is take another 2.5 kilos after this to win the snatch gold. But all of that, of course, depends on whether he lifts this particular weight. Incidentally, the snatch world record, Alexander Krylovich, legendary Belarus lifter, set that in 1994 in Istanbul, 205 kilos, just to put these efforts into context.
Good lift there for Tibor Stark. He's obviously highly motivated there. He's going backstage, ready to prepare for his third attempt. No excessive celebration there.
No, he's really come out in a very solid mental way.
We've seen this man backstage 5 or 6 times now in warm-up. Each time he's been sitting there concentrating, calmly, ignoring his opponents. He's come out here fired up, taken 2 good attempts. Each occasion driven the bar skywards.
So now the situation is that the bar predictably has gone to 190 for the Norwegian. He's assured of the silver medal, but that's not what he's come here for. He's come here to retain that snatch gold. And I think what he's doing here, he's a better overall lifter, the Norwegian. He's learnt a lot within the year, and he'll want a good total. He slipped last year down to 4th place. He's got a real chance of getting overall medals here, and that's the most important thing. So important not to go too crazy and be emotional about just losing his title. And he's been pulled straight off the stage now. Now this is real poker playing, because Steiner's pulled off the stage, which means he's got to go for more than 190, 192.5.
Yes, I think this is one of those computer corrections. What's actually happened is that the computer's automatically assumed that Stark will take 2.5 kilos.
And here is Grimseth. I thought it would be a bit strange for him to go quite that mad. This is a real test. And Stark has not looked in trouble in the previous 2 lifts. But Grimseth, he's got to lift within himself and not be over-ambitious.
No, it's difficult for somebody like Grimseth. He was storming onto the platform. He was really ready to go. He was up for it, and then he got pulled off. So he's had to collect his thoughts, and now ready to attack the bar again.
I mean, the reality here is, were he to go to 192.5 and fail, he'd be 85, and he'd be leaving himself with a huge deficit to make up on the clean and jerk. Good lift. Good lift. 190 kilos. Super stuff.
Yes, he didn't let himself get put off there. He came out the second time just as strongly as he did the first when he was pulled off. He's come out here. You can see shoulders over the bar, hips really extend, drives the bar overhead, settles, doesn't have much to adjust, drives up out of it. And you can see the celebration there as he realises he's got 3 out of 3 in the snatch.
So, this man is going to decide whether the gold in the snatch goes back to Norway or whether it travels to Hungary. Experienced, he was 15th in the 92 Olympics, 8th this time, and then all he can do now is to wait for whether it's a cheer or a groan. So 190 kilos, which would give Hungary the gold by virtue of lighter body weight. He's 10 kilos lighter. Oh, and it goes to Norway. He's blown it.
I think that's exactly what he has done. He had the strength, he had the technique, and he rushed it too much. And he must pay the price. He can't quite understand it yet, but I'm sure it'll all become clear to him.
And not only that, he has now given a 2.5 kilo advantage to the Norwegian, and that neutralizes the body weight advantage.
He's extended well, he gets underneath it, but instead of stepping at the bottom and collecting his balance and then coming up in his own time, he was keen to get out of it and he rushed it. Unfortunately, he wasn't in control and down it came.
Well, well, well. Ebb and flow. Stark, a few moments ago, you would have said he was odds on to get it. The game plan was going his way, couldn't do it. And Stan Grimseth of Norway retains his snatch gold medal, takes a 2.5 kilo advantage into the clean and jerk. Start for Hungary, settles for the silver. Raimond Bergmanis of Latvia gets the bronze medal, but you can see there he's 180 kilos. He's 7.5 behind Tibor Stark and a full 10 behind Grimseth. And the Turk, I think he's also let himself down, 175, 15 kilos behind the leader. That's a long way. And some disappointment there also for Bergstrom, who started promisingly and then rather lost it. And Menor proving to be the better of the two Spaniards. And Shmylyov, very disappointing for the Ukraine. Really going to have to pull out something special on the clean and jerk if he's to live up to one or two people's expectations here. Pavel Sobotka, he was the Czech who won the B group earlier in the day, and he finds himself in 10th place. So that's the story of the snatch, and there is the lift that did it for the Norwegian Stian Grimseth. We'll be back here on Eurosport for the clean and jerk after these messages. So this is the scene in the warm-up room, just about 5.5 minutes, less than that now, till we get underway with the clean and jerk competition. And Jeff, who's your money on now for the overall title?
Well, I must admit that originally I thought it was going to be down to Shmylyov, but he's gone down a few points in the snatch. Now we've got a three-way competition probably between Stark, Raimond Bergmanis from Latvia and Shmylyov for the third. I can't really decide which is the best chance.
Well, I'm impressed with Grimseth. He seems to be very confident. The coaching plan seems to be going well. So I'm going to put my money on him going just that little bit further. Certainly he was fourth last year overall. Unless he does something very stupid, he's surely got to be on the podium this time for overall honours. He's a man who seems to me to have learnt quite a lot in the space of 12 months.
Yes, that's true. He's improved. He's gained in stature. His confidence is really taking off at the moment, and you have to agree that he is improving all the time. Amazing scenes last year in Stavanger with Sister Ingeborg and Mother Cecil. I remember lots of hugging and kissing and racing around the stage. Well, they're not here, but hopefully they might be at home watching us on Eurosport, and I'm sure if they are, they'll have their fingers crossed. We're going to take another short break in a moment. When we do come back, then we should be right on time for the first of the clean and jerk competitions. Remember, there's medals available for the individual disciplines as well as the overall title in this, the 10th and final category of the championships. So we'll be back in just about a minute and a half from now. There of the top positions,
And what it means, you can see there that Bergstrom down in third place. Well, he's got to find 10 kilos just to be on terms with Stein Grimseth. And Stark there, he's 2.5 kilos behind. But, of course, both those men are lighter. The Turk also, Erding Arslan, he's got some ground to make up, as has Anders Bergstrom, the colourful character from Sweden. Clean and jerk, well, a lot of positions can change. The technique required different, and who will get this 10th and final medal of the championships? It's been a very successful one already for Turkey. Halil Mutlu, the Olympic champion, getting 54 kilos. Then the Bulgarian, 59 kilos. Nikolai Pashalov coming back on form. Sinamanoglu and Ergun Batmaz following for Turkey in 64 and 70 kilos. Yoto Yotov of Bulgaria, 76 kilo champion. Mark Huster of Germany taking the 83 kilo title. Sune Bulit of Turkey, the 91 kilo championship. And Stanislav Rybalchenko, the 99 kilo championship for the Ukraine. And when we looked at the entry list here today, we thought that the Ukrainian, that's Shmelyov, would have a really good chance, but I have to say he's left himself with an awful lot of work to do. There you can see the body weights. 142.10. Both of the Spaniards are big boys, but no one bigger than Bruno Soto at 149 kilos. And as I say, as of next year, when the European Championship, subject to final confirmation, but they should be in Riesa in Germany, not too far from Dresden. And then these men, the category they'll be lifting in is over 105 kilos. And there will be 8 championships at stake as opposed to the 10 that there are today. So a little bit of history. Whoever is the super heavyweight champion today will remain the 108 kilo champion forever. This is Stein Grimseth. 50% of the job is done. Can he execute the second half to the same good effect? That we have to wait for the first man. So, the opening lift in the clean and jerk phase of the super heavyweight 108 plus 108 category. Juan Menor, Spain, from Valencia. On the bar, 190 kilos. Again, starting with a weight up on last year's performance of 185 in the Europeans, and 10 kilos up on his world championship effort in 1995.
No lift there at all. Clean, but unfortunately the jerk just didn't leave the chest, did it? Shoulders over the bar, he extends well, drives down to the squat, but as he starts his drive here, you'll see that it just doesn't go to arm's length. There's nothing to support it, down it comes again.
This is the Spaniard from Valencia. He's actually got a personal best of 200 kilos, and had he got this lift, I think he could have perhaps reached that. As it is now, it just makes it that little bit more unlikely, because it means that he'd have to go perhaps for a 10 kilo increase on the third and final lift, and that might just be a bit too much to bite off at this stage.
Here's Raymond Bigmanis contemplating what he's got to do this afternoon. The oldest competitor here, as I say, a member of the former Soviet Union. That broke up. He found himself in the Latvian national team, given the opportunity to compete here in the European and World Championships.
Well, he's got a bronze, so that's a fair start, and he's got the lighter weight. Interesting thing, just looking at this here, just checking these weights here, absolutely the same weight as Tibor Stark, Raymond Bergmanis. So that could prove pretty critical if they ended up on exactly the same weight. But as it is, Stark's got that 7.5 kilo advantage. Top left, the weight that he's attempting, which of course is 190 again. 8 times national champion. Obviously not all in the same weight. That's over his career. 10 seconds now. Got to get this moving. Clean is okay. Now. Better. Good.
Better, but that left arm. I was concerned there that left arm didn't go straight out, but the referees were satisfied, but obviously they've got a better view than we have. You can see, the clean went well, a little bit slow, but he drives it up, settles well, drives up out of that clean. The bar's moving, so he's got to give it time to settle, otherwise he'll be disqualified. Now it's settled, he's ready to go. Short, shallow split, drives it up. I say there's a soft lock on both of those elbows, but the referees were saying that's what counts.
Nice picture there. You could see the feet put straight in line, nice and steady, as they should be. Bergstrom.
200 kilograms on the bar.
Still prowling. Stark also growling and prowling. He's going to be very angry, but he's got to use that anger. He's got to channel that now to good purpose. He's not out of this competition by any means.
Oh, by no means. As I say, Grimseth is an unknown force in the jerk. He didn't do too well last time. It allowed him to slip from gold medal to 4th place in the total, but I'm sure he'll be in improved form this year.
Yeah, it's just looking at the two in Atlanta, 7.5 kilos in favour of the Hungarian. Grimseth, though, on the other hand, he's carried a 2.5 kilo advantage with him, so that effectively reduces it to 5 kilos. But 5 kilos is, particularly when you get to the top end. And a much better crowd. They've obviously been looking forward and waiting for the big men. And Spaniard Menor, that's the reason for the long pause here. He's going to follow himself in. When that happens, you're allowed 2 minutes in which to recover and prepare. And he's got a minute left. And this time he's going for 200. So we mentioned this just a few moments ago, Jeff. It's never easy, 10 kilos.
No, it's easier obviously in the clean and jerk where the weights are heavier, but no, I think he had problems with both his attempts at 190 kilos, but 200 kilos is obviously a personal target, and it's a barrier as well, so this is an opportunity to allow him to challenge that barrier and see what he can do.
Well, it's a heck of a good attempt. He would have 367.5 if he did that, which would compare with 345 last year. So that really would be a personal improvement in his European Championship form.
Yes, that's a substantial improvement, and I'm sure it'll impress the new Spanish president.
But can he do it now? Rotated a bit, but that's not the worry. Doesn't want to keep it there that long. Too long? Too close to the windpipe?
Too close to the windpipe, I'm afraid. He obviously was trying to breathe and trying to get some oxygen in there, but it wasn't to be, and eventually his lack of oxygen made him feel faint and have to put the bar back onto the platform.
And it dents his aspirations. It takes him to 357.5. But that's still 12.5 up on last year.
A good improvement, and I think that extra attempt at 200 will help him.
Now this is Pavel Mouse, the 24-year-old. 9th in the 108 kilo category last year, and he jerked 205 there to put him in 7th place in that category, and 205 is his opening mark. At the end of the snatch phase, he was in 6th place, 20 kilos behind Grimseth.
Good lift there for Najdik, but I think the one point that you did miss out on was the fact, obviously, that he now weighs 120 kilos. So, in fact, he's 12 kilos heavier than this time last year. So we would expect a substantial improvement on his clean and jerk.
Well, I think that's right, and I think he's right to have gone up to this class because his natural body weight is around 115. He's got an extra 5 kilos on today, and obviously that will certainly help him in this phase now, or should help him, we should say.
Yep.
Now, Bruno Soto, Juan Menor, better than Soto in the snatch. By virtue of lighter body weight, and a real chance for him to overtake Juan Menor, which is what he generally does. And he'll do that straight away now if he lifts this. Thank you very much, and he will be the #1 Spanish lifter in this super heavyweight plus 108 kilo category.
Yes, that was a good lift. He extends well. His head goes back a little bit there, but he drives up out of that squat. He settles himself well. You can see from the camera in the platform that he drives himself up, shallow split, collects the bar, recovers himself, and thank you very much.
Bergman is just warming up. He's just building up steadily to that opening weight. Just checking that. He's looking to come in at 220, so he's got a few minutes yet. Stark as well. Stark's suggested that he's going to come in at 220. And in the background there, looking extremely lonely, as Erding Arslan, he's planning to come in at 215 kilos. Shmeliov.
Yes, there he's got 100 kilos on the bar, so he's in the early stages of his warm-up, just doing a few repetition cleans, followed by a few repetitions at the jerk.
It's amazing, isn't it? All that weight, you say 100 kilos, he's making it look like a rubber bouncing ball.
Oh, it's only a toy for him, I'm afraid.
So, should be the Swede now, Bergstrom. So Bergstrom coming in at 212.5. Well, he got the crowd in the snatch, but he rather let himself down on the last 2 lifts. A touch more concentration and inner focus might serve him better. But again, perhaps this is where he's going to feel a lot more comfortable. Bergstrom lifted 220 in the Olympics, 215 in the last Europeans. And 210 in China in 1995. So he's been working within that range, 210 to 220. And here he is starting at 212.5. So maybe he's looking to try and get 220 today.
As in the snatch, he's far more focused for the first attempt.
Hans Rupert there, his coach.
Good lift there for Anders Bergstrom. You notice that when it really counts for the first attempt, he really comes out focused. He came out there, he did a little word with the officials there to ask the platform to be cleaned. But he extends nicely with the hips there, drives up out of that squat, settles himself with the bar on his chest, breathes in, and drives the bar to arm's length overhead. and a quick recovery, and he waits a down signal.
And the stage is certainly shaking with these weights on it. It'll be interesting to see the shape of the basketball court when the stage is taken down and this hall is returned to its normal life. Now this is Najdek. Second attempt, 212 kilos, 212 and a half kilos on the... Lifted, new personal best, Jeff.
Yes, an excellent lift. You can see that man's lifting very, very quickly. He's a very powerful character. And he's causing him a couple of problems. He drives up, extends really powerfully, drives up. As he comes up, that bar is oscillating, and he's got to make sure that it stops before he jerks, because the referees will disqualify him.
.382.5 was his running total with one lift to go. Now here's Bruno Soto. Soto in to take his second lift at 212.5. First one he's got is 205, so he's assured of a total here because he's got that to go with his snatch of 167.5. So this for a running total of 372.5. Had he done that, he would have been 12.5 kilos up on last year's performance.
2 minutes for Bruno Soto.
A bit heavy.
It was for the jerk. The strength's obviously there. He cleaned it nicely, settled the bar on his chest, although it's leaning over slightly to his left. But then as he comes to jerk it, he just doesn't take it out to arm's length. I think it was a matter of a little bit of concentration and effort there.
Shmeliov, Bergmanis.
Do you notice, David, how as we go round the warm-up platforms, these lifters are doing everything to concentrate on what they're doing and to avoid looking at their competitors. Nobody wants to look at the other competitor.
You can see there 230, that's Shmeliov's opening weight, 220 there for Tibor Stark. And Grimseth it may be, who's going to come out and get a weight registered. Just checking this and seeing, yes. Well, in fact, it's coming in 2.5 kilos. If he does come out, this is coming out 2.5 kilos under, and I'm not sure that he's going to do that. No, it's Soto, in fact. For 212.5. So once again, this would give him 380. To be still. 380 kilos. He ends his 1997 challenge on. And wherever he ends up, Jeff, that compares with 360 in the Europeans last year, 340 in 1995 in the world. So he's still got a long way to tackle the likes of Chermerkin and Kurlovich, but at least he's going in the right direction.
He's making some substantial gains, and obviously will do so while he's getting all this support from the Spanish Federation.
So Grimseth now set to come out at 2:15. The world's clean and jerk record held by Andrei Chemokhin of Russia at 260 kilos. Just looking at these men, that weight seems totally... Now, I think if Grimseth's got any hopes whatsoever of certainly nicking the gold, he's got to lift this.
Yes, 3 white lights there, good lift, but it was a little bit soft on the elbows, and you're going to have to improve on that before he starts adding to this weight. You'll notice here he extends well, good clean, drives up. As with a lot of people who are very good at the snatch, he's not entirely comfortable with the weight on the chest, so he throws it up and collects it, balances himself again. He's back on his heels, shallow squat, and he drives it up to arm's length.
Total moves up to 405 kilos. With 2 lifts to go, he's now 5 kilos ahead of his Norwegian total of last year. Bergstrom, 217.5. Enjoy the crowd once you've achieved the weight, Anders. This for a running total of 390. Come on, come on.
Good lift there for Anders Bergstrom. A little more sedate than usual. Concentrated more on that second attempt there. All the effort going in. Head goes back a little bit. He drives it up strongly.
Then just gets it a little tight to the windpipe, I think, there.
Yes, I think it was an adjustment there. Push it out to arm's length.
So still to begin, Bergmanis, Shemilyov, Tibor Stark, and of course the Turk, Erding Arslan. And before, I think it's Erding Arslan is going now and take 220. Now he was going to come out originally at 215, so he really is in catch-up mode now. Arslan was a full 15 kilos behind Grimseth, 5 behind Bergmanis, and 12.5 behind Tibor Stark. So he's really got to do some lifting now. Very possible to build on this if he can get it. Turkish fans, encouraged by that, really lifts him up there. 220 to go with 175, takes 395, and immediately puts him ahead of the Swede Bergstrom, who's on 390 at the moment. So Bergmanis it is that's going to come in now for Latvia for his first lift. 220 to go with 180. Take him up to 400. That would narrow the gap between him and Steen Grimseth to 5 kilos. And that looks very convincing to me.
That was a lovely lift. It was really strong, really powerful, and lovely technique.
So now, as I mentioned, Norway's Grimseth is still in the overall lead with 4:05. Bergman 400. They've both taken one clean and jerk. Arslan of Turkey down in third place at 395, with Bergstrom down into fourth at 390. And now Nasdaq 220. This is third and final lift, which would take him up to a total of 390. Put him on exactly the same mark as the Swede, Bergstrom. But he is the lighter man, so he'd get the higher placing if he can do this. But Bergstrom, of course, with one more lift. So lots of little competitions happening as well as the main event. $390 it is.
Yes, and you're going to see the satisfaction in the Polish camp there as he goes off stage.
Yes, very good indeed. 6 lifts. He hasn't had a failure at all have been successful lifts. He's got 390 Nasdaq. That compares, well, a little bit, Jeff, in the 108 kilo class, he lifted 362.5. That's a sort of comparison we can make. And his personal best overall before today's competition started was 375. So he's totaled a new personal best by 15 kilos. You can't argue with that.
Not at all. Although you'd expect him to get stronger, he still has to take time to make these gains and establish himself in this new body weight. And I'm sure he'll still be improving when he gets to Chiang Mai in November.
24 years of age, so that's a pretty good series for the Pole. Grimseth it'll be to come in at 222.5. Just getting chalked in there. And the Swedes now sizing this up. And we've just had a little note here passed to us, telling us who might be presenting the medals. And it seems that the Norwegian might have the honour, but I think that's a bit presumptuous at the moment. We saw the Greeks do that, where the Greek president in the 59 kilo category was looking to present the gold to Sabanis on day one of the championships, and it went, I'm afraid, well awry. Nikolai Pershalov ended up, and the Greek president was presenting to the Bulgarian. Still, 222.5. Right. It was just not going right from the first moment that he lifted the bar off the ground.
No, we saw the great pulling power that he demonstrated in the snatch. It was an excellent clean. He came up, but unfortunately he's not happy with the bar on the chest. Maybe his arms are a bit too big. Maybe his shoulders are uncomfortable and not flexible enough. But he's not comfortable there, and the obvious thing is that if the bar's slightly in front at the start, it'll be slightly in front at the finish.
And all that bouncing around really doesn't help at all. I mean, we are talking about 222.5 kilos. The man himself, Grimseth, weighs 143.7, but that's a serious weight on his shoulders. So a setback for the Norwegian. And Bergstrom's last lift of the competition. And he's determined to get everything out of this. 222.5. This is for 395. Oh, yes! The competition will be poorer without him. That's why they've paid their money in Rijeka. They'll give him a few drinks. Big party tonight, of course. So, after Sweden's success, Norway's next attempt to come. So Bergstrom ending on 395. It's not a medal, but just checking that now. 395 was his Atlanta total, Jeff. 385 last year in the European. So he's staying around the same territory.
Yes, Bergstrom's been around for a long time, and he'll continue to improve.
8th in the Europeans, 94, and 10th last year. I suspect he's going to finish in that sort of area today. But now, Grimseth, crucial final lift. 225 to go with 190, but not to go with 190. And consequently, that overall goal isn't there. He ends on 405. That's 5 kilos more than he achieved in Atlanta, but it's exactly the same as Stavanger last year, which found him in 4th place at the end. And I just wonder whether history is going to repeat itself, because still out there we've got Bergmanis, we've got Shmeliov, who's yet to play a single card in the Scream and Jerk. We've got Stark. So Hungary and Stark, 225 kilos on the bar. Now this is Stark's opportunity to get back at Grimsmith. Remember, he was only 2.5 kilos behind. So 225 here. .412.5 kilos, the running total, and he's still got 2 lifts to go. So he stormed into the lead with that lift.
He's storming everywhere at the moment, David. He's well motivated. He came out onto that platform like a man possessed. He cleaned the bar. See him with the bar settled on his chest. He drives it out to arm's length. There's no problem with that.
And I'm sure that he was really annoyed. He threw the snatch away. And I think he's determined not to make the same mistake twice. But it's not going to be plain sailing. Now, Shmeliov, 227.5. Now, he's coming in 2.5 kilos under his initial predicted start weight. And he didn't look too convincing in the snatch to us, so maybe that's a wise decision. What this would do is to pull him up to 402.5, which would leave him behind Grimseth, but it would certainly close him up. So I was convinced of that. We're just double checking here. He got 165 kilos from the snatch. And quite right, 392.5, so he's still got some way to go to get into a medal position. But that's a good first start. But it means he's still 12.5 kilos behind Grimseth at the moment. Now another make a difference. Bergman-East, the bronze medalist from the snatch, still the bar on the same weight of 227.5. This would put him into second place at the moment, 407.5. And the Latvian goes into second spot.
He's looking very impressive this afternoon. He's got good reason to be pleased, but I'd like to see him stay a little bit calm and save something for his third attempt. We saw him do this in the snatch, that he got a little bit excited with the second and missed his third. You can see an excellent clean there. It looks like a training room exercise. He settles himself nicely. He drives it out to arm's length. There it is. A little bit forward, but he corrects it.
Massive improvement though, Jeff, because he's well up on what he was doing, 402.5 in the Olympic Games and 387.5. That's all he totaled in Stavanger last year. So this is big improvement by the Latvian. Now, here's another man who's got to do something special. Second lift for the Turk. Now this will make life very interesting because this will put him on 405. And he is lighter than Grimseth, so this would push Grimseth out of the overall medals. Well, not this time it won't. He's got one more chance. So it's Stark in the gold position at the moment, Bergman-East in the silver, and Grimseth holding on to bronze, but under threat from Özcan of Turkey. And the other man is, of course, Shemiliov. Shemiliov, though, at 392.5, but he's got two more lifts. Now this is where it becomes really interesting. Stark deciding to put a little more pressure on here, perhaps. Worth getting this second one, I think, in now, don't you, Jeffrey?
Yes, he puts the pressure on the opposition here with this lift. He extends his lead. He means that they've got to take an extra 5 kilos as well to match him if it's successful.
And also the thing is that he's on the same weight as Bergman-East. So if it came to some strange situation where they both were level, either in the clean and jerk or indeed in the total, by lifting first, he's getting the advantage. More noise than effect this time, I'm afraid.
Yes, it started to slide down his chest there and just got away from him, and down it came. A little bit more extension came down on the front there, and he just tilted forward and lost it.
So he's still sitting with 412.5, which is a useful advantage. He's got 5 kilo advantage over Bergman-East, who's now going to come in for his last lift. Now, he's got 230 on the bar, and when you add that on to the 180 that he had, I'm a bit curious about this weight.
I think Raymond was quite pleased with his last attempt and doesn't think he's going to put him at 2.5, which is what he'd require to take the extra position and challenge Stark.
So this arguably to make sure the silver. You were spot on, Jeff. And so was he. He realised what his limitations were. He wasn't that far away, but he's had a massive improvement on last year, and he's not going to go home empty-handed from here, which is nice to see.
Yes, he drives it up there. a good clean. It settled on his chest, but he was celebrating too much after that second attempt, and it didn't drive up to arm's length. I think there was a lack of confidence there, and it was just half an inch short, and it just came down again.
So he ends up on 4:07.5. Now here's Erdink Aslan, Turkey. So this for 4:05, and to push Grimseth out of the medals for sure. He's been relatively quiet throughout this competition. Grimseth breathes a sigh of relief, and it's not a going day for this man.
No, that was a bit surprising. He just couldn't drive out of that squat at all. A sheer lack of strength here. Shoulders over the bar, extends well, goes down into the deep squat, but just hasn't got the leg strength to get out of it.
And ends up on 3:95. So maybe Grimseth can still bronze. It's really just not sure what Chmelyov is playing at. 2:27.5. As far as we know, there's nothing wrong with him, and he's got 2 other lifts. So Stark, who has had 1 failure at this lift, at this weight, I should say. This to absolutely wrap it up. For 17.5, this would put him on. Better clean, I felt there, Jeff. Although lots of adjustments, having just said that. Well, 412.5 kilos. Now, has he opened the door for Chmelyov, who is about to take his second lift at 235, and we're rapidly trying to do the math here. In fact, he's put it up 240 kilos. So Chmelyov trying to pull himself up. 240 kilos would 405, the same weight as Stein Grimseth. And Chmelyov is lighter than Grimseth. Grimseth, the Norwegian, saw off the Turk. Now he's got to try and hope that his weight is good enough to hold off this man. He has this lift and he has another one. A lowly 9th after the snatch. A very poor 165, and that is why he's having to be as extravagant as 240 for his second attempt. And this is still 20 kilos beneath the world record. Well, we know he's done 220, but you've got a feeling that again too quick.
Far too quick. He just rushed it. The clean was excellent. Plenty of power. He looked well within himself. He's now got to make a decision on what he's going to do for his third attempt. Is he going to stay here and try and make the bronze medal? Or is he going to try and move up and attack Bergmanis and possibly even Stark?
Well, I think Stark will be ridiculous. I mean, taking the 405, he has to be going to 247.5 if he wants to attack Tibor Stark. I mean, he's the lighter man, and he would win if he did it. On the other hand, if he goes to Bergmanis, he still, you know, from this point needs, what, another 2.5 kilos?
Yes, another 2.5 kilos will do it, so it's up to him. The clean's there, the strength's there, but he's got to get himself in a good mental position to attack the third attempt.
He's got to decide whether he wants something or nothing. The something is to do this, take a little bit more time. But I have a feeling if he goes further than this, he might just blow it all together.
I think so, and the sensible attitude would be to take that 240 again for his third attempt. But I've seen people go up and risk everything.
The last lift of the championship. Over a minute before he has to complete the lift. He can stop the clock, he can change the weight. So here he comes. Huge support for the Ukrainian. 128.7 kilos his body weight. So very nearly, not so far away from double his body weight. And this is for the overall bronze medal. And of course, 240 would give him the jerk gold medal, Jeff.
Yes, of course. He's taken up on any weight that's been attempted so far.
So, a lot at stake. Now, just get yourself settled. Too much. And at the end, the Norwegian who hangs on to the bronze. And that, I'm afraid, two very costly failures, because, quite honestly, it could have gone to 235, could have gone to 232 and a half, and taken the clean and jerk gold. And I think, Jeff, I don't know, as a coach, why not get the jerk gold secure and then have one crack at the...
One has to question what exactly has been going on backstage. This man is extremely strong. The clean is very, very easy, but the jerk is just nowhere near getting arm's length. He's got the strength. It's the mental attitude that's going wrong. It's his concentration. That bar didn't go halfway up to arm's length. It's not what you'd expect from a lifter at this standard. So he hasn't even been close to jerking this weight.
I think you've got to question the tactics there. Surely he should have gone for the clean and jerk gold. An extra 2.5 kilos, what? 232 and a half, and that would have done it. As it is, here's the result. Vadim Shemilyov, 220, well, they've got 227.5, and in fact he gets that. So we've been misleading ourselves, or at least I've been misleading myself here. He's got the clean and jerk gold by virtue of that lighter body weight over Raymond Bergmanis, who takes the silver for Latvia, with Tibor Stark of Hungary in third place, 225. Apologies for the confusion there. It is really difficult sometimes to work this out. You can see Sten Grimseth there. Really, the clean and jerk is the department where he's got to improve. Disappointing that he lifted 222 and a half last year in Norway, and he was finished in 7th place in the clean and jerk competition then, and that's the same spot. The two Spaniards, well, Bruno Soto and Menor, both have improved on their personal best, so you really can't ask more than that for these men. So it's been a very good championships in many, many ways. This is the final result. The Hungarian 412.5 takes the gold medal ahead of the Latvian, and Sten Grimseth, who missed out on overall honours 1 year ago in Stavanger on his own home ground, this time does get a bronze medal to go with the snatch gold, which he's retained here. And Anders Bergstrom of 395, not that far away. That's a good improvement for Bergstrom, who finished 10th in Europe last year. He was 8th in 95, so he also for Sweden going in the right direction. Disappointing day there for Erding Arslan. Both the Spanish, Bruno Soto there, again he was 15th a year ago, up to 8th place, 10th for Menor, moving up from 16th. The man Pavel Sobotka, if you're wondering why he's there, he won for the Czech Republic the B group. But here's the champion of the super heavies for 1997. And as Bergstrom there, the Norwegian Grimstad, just a hand on his shoulder. And we should hopefully have the medal table for the end of the championship. It's going to show Turkey right on top, having got 4 medals. 4 gold medals to Turkey with a silver. Bulgaria with 2 golds, 2 silvers, 2 bronze. The Ukraine with 2 gold medals. And here it is. The